start right at 6 p.m. with the Pledge of Allegiance. One thing I should mention, I am going to have to leave this meeting at 8:30, no later, to go get ready for work and to go to work. So we should try to limit our discussion as best we can. Has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda? Yes. Cindy is out. We've only got 3 voting members, so I make a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Are there any discussions? Hearing none, how do you vote? All in favor? I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. All right, so I gotta say 3. That's good. How about the minutes from September 6th and September 19th meetings? Get a chance to look at those? And if so, and if you do not have any additions, corrections, etc., we need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes of September 6th and September 19th, 2022 meetings.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded as written for item number 4. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Move on to the banner engineering, and we've got 10 here, so thank you for coming, by the way.
No problem. So we did receive bids for the rebid of the wastewater treatment facility at Johnson-Lusk last Thursday. 2 bids were received, so it was good to see 2 bids come in. The bidding market is still tough. But the low bid was a little bit better than prior, so the bids ranged from $4,823,891 to $5,984,000. And the bid alternate ranged from $60,580 to $67,000. Both bids had all the bidding requirements met, and so the low responsive bidder was IPT Technologies at that $4,000,008. The bid prior, when the city bid back in June, at that point, there was 1 bid from IPT, and that bid was $4,917,000. So it came down a little bit. There would be some additional opportunities for if the city wanted to try to reduce the project further. At that last bid, we had talked about ways savings could be found. Now, seating was a big item in that last one. The seating bid price has been reworked as part of the lowering and the reducing of costs, so that wouldn't come down. But there would be some other areas, like with eliminating the loading dock possibly, or modifying some of the sensors. If that was done, what we'd recommend is that the city would, to facilitate that process, the city would accept this bid, and then we could do a change order deduct where you remove that later in the project after you get into it. The other thing that was in the letter, but just to make sure the council is fully aware, is that bid does exceed the funding package currently. So the city has a couple options going forward for funding. One would be to submit a request to the Board of Water Natural Resources to redirect the money that was used for the collection system, that was about $1.7 million, to redirect it to the treatment plant to cover the deficiency. The other option would be to apply for a second loan, and then get another loan to increase the loan amount for the wastewater treatment plant project to cover this project and keep the $1.7 million to use for the collection system improvements. So, and the third option, I guess, that's outlined in there is not to award the project. I don't think the bidding climate's going to get any better, so I think not awarding or rebidding in the near future with what we've seen these last 6 months may not be favorable for the city. Again, I know I've stood up here before and said I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't, but it just, things have not really, there's nothing changing, it's the supply chain and cost that's showing anything's gonna be getting different.
Well, and along with that, if we did ask for further help, I mean, any bonding or anything like that would possibly be increased as a result of the interest rates, right? I mean, right now, that that SRF loan, the clean water, as it's called, even though that's really not clean water that we're talking about, is it?
I know, isn't that confusing? They have drinking water for drinking water, and they have clean water for wastewater, and I think it is confusing to the general public. The intent is that you're cleaning the wastewater, so it can become clean water for discharge.
Well, at the point where that $1.643 million is, it's definitely not clean.
Yep.
It's a lot cleaner when we're done with it on the other end.
Absolutely.
So that's what kind of confused me, but, I mean, that loan is already specified, the particulars of the interest rate, et cetera, correct?
Yeah, the interest rate on Alva loan, the current loan the city has closed upon for the wastewater treatment plant, and the loan for the collection system is set. And I don't know if I have both of those with me. I know the treatment plant one is 3.1 or 2.125 for 30 years. And I'm trying to see if we had the amount for the collection system. I think it was the same. I think it was 30 at 2.125. I'd want to verify that before saying absolutely, but I think it's around that. And I do know that, I think they increased interest rates at the September meeting, and I haven't heard what they've gone up to, but I know they will, their plan was to increase interest rates. If they didn't do it at this meeting, they'll do it at the first meeting in January.
So I guess the reason I'm asking, and for those of you that are looking at all the documentation, there's a letter in here, it's addressed to me and the city council, and it's actually from Tanya, and it, on the back page, there's an item 2C that talks about requesting to convert that 1.643 million. And all it is just saying that the loan that we were going to use for phase 2, the loan that has already been approved that we were going to use for phase 2, and the interest rate of that loan, if they were willing, we would ask them to allow us to use that loan, which then would nearly completely fill in the shortfall. I mean, it's, no matter what, 4.8 million is not the 3.7 we were planning on. But obviously the treatment facility needs care.
So if we cannot convert the $1.6 million clean water loan, and we have to, we gotta come up with that 1.65 million, how do we pay for that as a city?
We would do the same thing, we would get another loan, the only thing is it would be at a higher interest rate, and that's.
Then how do we pay for that loan?
Through rates,
Yeah,
through the sewer charges.
and really, that's what should have been done. I mean, when any upgrades were done, I don't know, I'm just arbitrarily saying $2, $10, $15, whatever, should have been added, and it should have just stayed that way, and everybody should have just been paying that over time. And for a certain period of time, that collected money was put away, and that would take care of the city's responsibility, especially when they forgave 70,
5%?
72 or some percent, yeah.
So like what would we be looking at approximately, if we were to pass this and we were have to pay with the water bills and stuff, like, is that gonna double my water bill, triple my water bill, like what are we, or?
I don't know. Do you have any idea what?
I'm just wondering what kind of, the taxpayers and stuff, what they're gonna end up, the citizens, what they're gonna end up paying for something like this.
Hang on. You can see that it shows you the deficit on that same letter on the front page.
Yeah.
The deficit is 1.651, where that SRF is 1.643. Well, that's that's less than $10,000 difference.
Yeah.
I mean,
If that can go.
so that's good news if they'll allow it. But I do agree with you, Kyle, no matter what, it's still gonna cause more expense
Yeah.
per user.
How many users do you have, Pat?
440.
Okay. So it'd be like 11, so just to pay off the additional 1.7 million, and I just did that because it's an easy round number. If the interest rate would go up to 3%, and for 1.7 million over 30 years, it would be $11.15 per customer per month. That's what it would go up.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the original $800,000 is already being handled by, was it a surcharge or what? Or is that not even in the mix yet?
I don't know if they would request another surcharge, because if we take on another loan, they may request that.
Right, but what I'm saying is, what we're talking about is adding I'm just rounding, $11.50.
Yeah, if you keep the collection system funding for the collection system and just take out another loan for the 1.7, and assuming it goes up to 3% for the,
11.
then that's kind of a guess.
Yeah,
If they raise it that much, then it would be over 30 years, that $11.15 per customer per month. And there's a lot of assumptions in there, but at least it gives you kind of an idea.
Okay, that gives me a number that
Yeah,
makes sense, because
Yeah.
$1.65 million doesn't, I mean, that's hard
Yeah.
to comprehend
It
as
is.
Yeah.
a single homeowner.
yeah. And that would be different, and if the city requests to transfer the 1.7 from the loan for the collection system over, that has principal forgiveness in it, so that loan is less cost to the city,
Mhm.
and so that would be less of an impact.
Okay.
So so if we would forgive this, or change this clean water one, what is it working good enough that would get us by for a while?
The treatment plant or the collection system?
The one that we were gonna do phase 2.
Yeah, the collection system, I mean, it is,
Are we getting by? I mean, we're not in trouble because it's not.
I mean, it is working. There are some pipes in there that are in very poor condition. And so it's something that I would say that you still need to address in the coming years. You can put it off
Right.
a little bit, but you
Right.
can't undo it. And the worst thing that would happen is, let's say, like, you would have a sewer collapse and part of the pipe would collapse, you'd have to open up the street and do an emergency repair to
Okay.
get that portion repaired.
and when you say some of the pipes are in poor repair, that's in the oldest part of the town.
Yes.
Predominantly all the way over on the west side, moving this way.
Yes,
Probably is.
Ostad Street and then blanking on the one that goes north-south,
Union.
Union. Those two streets, or it's the alley between, because it's in Ostad Street, and then the next street over, it's in the alley between
I think
Ostad and Union,
I think it's Fifth.
Is it this? Okay.
Oh, that's where the major issue is. Okay, I see.
Yeah, it's up on the north end.
Yeah. It's on the corner of Ofsted and Fifth.
So eventually, if they would do that, and then let's say we increase the water bill $5 a month, and then that money could go towards this, hope the cost wouldn't. I mean, is it something down the road we could?
So I think what you're asking is, we talked about 11, let's say
Yeah.
it's 16. Okay, let's say it's 16 instead of 11, that other $5 is put away for this upcoming second phase that's
Something.
gonna happen.
To happen down the
I
road,
think
maybe?
that's a good idea. I mean, I don't wanna pay another $15 a month, but I certainly want the sewer to work.
Right. I'm just thinking outside the box. But that would maybe buy us a little time.
you have 2 years of construction,
Yeah,
so that would allow that to accumulate.
a little bit.
That was a good question though, Kyle. At least it doesn't double the, I mean,
Yeah, I just didn't wanna start paying water rates like Harrisburg does.
Yeah.
$400 water bill is crazy.
there are a lot of small towns that have completely revamped their infrastructure and it's
Spending.
costing them.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much more discussion we need to have. Obviously, we've got a spot in here that says bid results. We've discussed those bids. It's obvious that we're gonna elect the 4.8 million over 5.9. They're virtually identical bids, as she mentioned. They both met the requirements. We would need to motion, a motion to accept the bid from, she called it IPT, Industrial Process Technologies, Inc. I believe it is.
And it should be, I believe, a motion to award the bid. That's how state law reads.
May I be recognized, please?
I don't, yeah, go ahead.
I'm concerned, given the amounts and stuff, and we have just 3 councilmen. I know you claim that's a quorum, but I would, and I know you don't want to defer any decisions until the next meeting when you can have a full, whatever we've got left of a council. But I'm not comfortable with just laying this on the heads of 3 people. I don't think it's appropriate.
What do the 3 of you think?
I guess, I have mixed feelings about it, just for the fact that the feedback from the people in town, you know, pretty quick, we keep getting higher rates, people wanna move out of town,
Yeah.
you know, and so I mean, we're spending taxpayers' money here, you know, and so I wanna make a good decision, and I guess I have mixed feelings about it currently. I don't know, it's a lot of money.
But what do you think about making the decision between the 3 of you? I mean, I don't know what Cindy's, opinion would be, but maybe it's a valid point to wait till the next meeting and actually make the
Would that
decision.
hurt
with the
anything?
So you have 30 days to award the bid, and so that's where the latest you could wait would be the next council meeting. And I think the other thing, well, I do want to just make sure everybody's aware too, that while the project is very expensive, and it's a lot for a small town, I get that, the money that the state has awarded has a significant portion of grant. And so I think the one thing I would encourage the council to do is not to walk away from the money and not award, consider awarding the project, because it's substantial grant. It's a lot more grant than many communities for. It was 75% grant for the treatment plant, and I'm trying to remember what the that's where I don't have the collection system on there completely with me, what portion that was for grant. But it was just, it's a significant amount of grant money. And so,
So you're saying even that 1.643 million, that had some forgiveness involved as well?
right, that's where when I said the $11.15, that assumed you kept the collection system project and applied for an entirely new loan. And that's where, if we can find the amount of that other loan.
Okay, so this was the first award,
Okay,
and I should have the second award.
thank you so much, Pat.
Again, my concern is the minimal council that we have. We have Ward 2 represented, we have Ward 3 represented, and right now, excuse me, we do not have Ward 1 represented at all at this meeting. And
First, what we're
Yeah,
gonna
I realize that.
do.
it's subject to referral and
Thank you.
initiative.
That's enough. We want to get through this.
Yeah, the grant on this portion, so on the 1.669 amount, the grant portion was 1.418. So the loan amount for the city is $250,000. So And we've got the two printouts here, Simon, if you need to see them, but. Okay. So if I put that into a finance. So if we go 30, then that one is, yeah, 30 years at 2.125.
Rather than the 3%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if we just look at like what it's costing for that loan that you already have. 8,000 a year. And we take 440.
Yes.
So that's like $1.62. So the current loan, if you take and redirect that for the treatment plant, it's like $1.62 per person per month. Where the difference where I think things are gonna make is if you redirect that money for this project, the treatment plant project, and then, 3 years from now, you decide we need to tackle that collection system and you go apply for a new loan, if you wouldn't get any grant funding at that point, that's where it would cost, in today's dollars with that 1.7, and that 1.7 when the facility plan is done is probably not gonna buy you the full project at this point either. But if you didn't get any loan and the interest rate was 3%, that's would be $11. So that's where, just to keep in mind, there's kind of three pieces. There's the two loans that have significant grant funding, and then the potential to apply for another.
Well, if we can effectively say everybody will be here next meeting, I mean, I don't have a problem with having the discussion again, when you guys get your heads wrapped around exactly what we've been talking about.
And
Yeah.
I can't promise Cindy will be here.
Right.
She's,
Her mother's situation is such that she might not be here. So, as you can see,
I mean, I wish we could magically get all 440 users in here to talk about this and say, this is what it looks like, this is what's gonna happen, or what could happen.
it'd be nice to get
That would be
40.
ideal, if we could get 40. 4.
You know. Anyhow, as you can see, we've got to either have a motion to award the bid of whatever, or we're going to go on to item 6, public input. You want to put this away until next meeting, or not?
Yeah, I'd like to at least sleep on it.
That's fine,
Everybody agree?
but next time it'd have to be a for sure thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, like she said, we've got 30 days to respond, so
Let's do it.
2 weeks from tonight, we'll make a decision.
Does 30 days start today? Or
Well, the 30 days started last Wednesday.
last Wednesday?
When they open those bids, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Tanya. That was a good description of exactly what is going on here. All right, we will move on to item 6, public input.
I have public input. Dealing with the Iowa Street South, I've given you some documents to look at. One is a commissioners meeting when that portion of South Street was annexed into the city. There was an amendment made to that, and it included all roads that abutted, if I remember correctly, abutted that annexation of those lots. So you are responsible, the city is responsible, we, the city, are responsible for maintenance of that street and any street, and anything that abuts that property. You know, like I said, the city agreed
Turn
to
the
it.
corner, or no? When you turn the corner, then it's not?
That I'm not sure of. That would have to be something, and that's what I was asking Sam about. Because it said all roads that abut. And right now, 209th is township, it's county, township.
We don't maintain that road. We
No,
don't
they
put
do,
in the
don't they?
snow.
No, I never said you did.
Yeah.
I'm just
So-
telling Darla.
I'm perfectly capable of answering the question.
All right.
I have a problem with moving the meetings because the finance officer is going to be missing. We've got somebody to take notes. Why are we moving meetings around? Because then people lose track of which meeting's happening where. It's a goat rodeo. If the finance officer can't make it, Sam could take notes. The previous attorney took notes. We're fine. Items to be on the website, if there's things that you hand out to the council members, and they're not executive session material, those should be posted on the website so people can see what's going on. Those could just as well be loaded on the website. It's not rocket science. I do have a question. Connor Lusk had just gotten a raise before he went into executive session. And then a week or so after he was in the executive session, he got another raise. What was the purpose for that?
For the raise for the executive session.
He got a $1 raise after that executive
It was
session.
because he had to take over more leadership role as a chef.
An 18-year-old, okay.
Yep.
And the other thing in your, that I handed out was, again, the direct deposit. Now, I have talked to employees. They would like to have the direct deposit. And as you can see on the paper that I handed to you, gave to you, that doing direct deposits, not rocket science. Again, and if we don't have, if a mayor has to be leaving and be out of town, just the ability to have those checks in their accounts on time and not have to wait for somebody to do something or wait for a signature. Like I said, most towns are doing that. It's not rocket science. Again, the bank can walk you through it if they needed to do it. I've given you an example of how to set it up. And we can set it up with our own bank. All they have to do is just give the account numbers to the bank. It's all secure. And like I said, I've had people asking me, they didn't get their checks on time.
The
And I know
deputy finance officer has her hand up. She'd like to make a response.
I couldn't call today, obviously, because the bank was closed, but I am going to make an appointment to talk to them about setting up direct deposit.
Oh, good.
So something will be moving on forward with that
Good,
soon.
good.
We've talked to a number of employees too, and some do, they don't care one way or the other. Some do want it, so.
Yeah, the main issue with direct deposit that I have heard is that it would make payday Tuesday instead of Monday because it would take a day to process in the banks.
Yeah.
So that would be the only reason that people wouldn't opt for the direct deposit.
So, but anyhow, that's everything I think I've got. And again, like I said, you've got the map, and the map was by a certified surveyor. It does go back to, I believe it was 1957. It comes off the original and stuff. But, and I'm assuming that the city is now in a position to be getting property taxes off those pieces of property with the new buildings and stuff on them. Because they had given them a 4-year or 5-year moratorium on taxing. So hopefully that can replace, because those streets need to be repaired. So, okay.
Is there any other public input?
The one that I was asked, and I see it's on the agenda, is the wheelchair spot down by the funeral home.
Oh, yeah. That will
That's
be-
on the agenda. I got a call today wondering why the school lights aren't working, the flashing lights when kids are going to school.
We got different signs. we are not doing those flashing lights anymore. And the reason we're not is because the batteries were constantly going out and then they would get off schedule. So, and plus Lonnie was having a hard time getting replacement battery operations inside. So we bought new signs,
Okay,
and the new signs say the hours that the school zone is in effect.
I'll answer with that. And then the tombstone issue was brought up to me again.
It's done.
It is done. I
It's
drove
done.
by there the other day and it wasn't, but
Yep,
it's
it is
done.
done.
Good. So that is good. I have had multiple, and I'm not exaggerating, reports on why we have 2 cops on duty so often in this town. Another one today, they were in town the other day, one is on duty here, one is on duty at the gas station. Why are we as taxpayers paying taxes to have 2 people on duty? We also had a report of one north of town, one evening, and one south of town, same night. Why are they on duty? Personally, I have seen them down at the gas station, 2 on duty, and I've seen it 4 or 5 times. So I guess I was gonna stop and ask him, but Austin, is he gone? Austin gone?
No, he's supposed to be here tonight.
Because he hasn't been at the station, so I haven't been able to stop and ask him. And a very upset taxpayer that looks at the budget of the police department and says, we're a town of 800, we don't need to be having more than 2 cops, and we're paying all this money out, and they do not want to see, and this one I've had 2 or 3 times, why our police pickup is in Beersford. And I think we do need to look at that, because there's a lot of trips going back and forth. As taxpayers, they say we're not paying to have our car in Beersford. So
Well,
I was gonna ask Austin that, but
we're going to have police department monthly update, and you can see there's an executive session there for personnel. So we're going to have an opportunity to discuss some of these things with him,
so that's the public input. I had to write it down because I couldn't remember all of it. So,
Does anybody else have any public input?
I do. The bar sidewalk, it's not just the bar sidewalk. A couple people have talked to me about all business owners on Main Street. If the curbs are bad, the sidewalks are bad, they would like to see our sidewalks fixed and the curbs. And then the same lady on Broad Street has contacted me about what's the reason the elevator can't put dust control down, which I did talk to the elevator about it. I guess Wayne Overhauser talks to them every other week about it, and they don't do anything.
Yeah.
And then the third one is the weeds in the alleyways and in the yards. We need to enforce some of this. And then the cars parked against traffic, you know, so. I could go on for another 15, 20 minutes too, but
I
I'll
know.
keep it short.
Yeah.
So, that's all I got.
All that.
I did.
Make sure that that's all.
what was that camper thing? Is that October 1st or November 1st?
I think it's in November.
November 1st, the campers have to be off the street.
Is there any other public input?
I would want to say one thing about the dust control. Since they're in the city limits now, I think they fall prey to the codes. Sam could answer that better for you.
I'd have to look, but
I think that they have to manage, that they could be cited by nuisance type thing if they don't get it under control.
that'd be one way to do it. After a good argument, it's gonna be a little tough to, you know, say, it's a grain elevator, right? I mean,
The thing is that they're inside the city limits, and
The real,
That's right, but it's also depending on how it's zoned, those, I'm not arguing. with
no,
Vicky,
I've looked
but-
at both the zone,
but
the
that
commercially
might be part
zoned,
and
yeah.
parcel of what they're allowed to do. It's a fair point though, and I certainly don't think it's unreasonable to ask them to put some dust control measures in place.
well, and Lucas did that exact thing, and I was there when he did, and I heard the GM say, we can look into that. Now, I don't know what we can look into that means, but it's certainly time to go and revisit with the GM and say, have you looked into this?
Well, and I feel like if you require that of the FCS, you would probably need to require it of the county because they now bought Clark Street. Which also would generate dust.
Absolutely.
As semis drive on that.
Absolutely. But to Sam's note, it's an elevator. They're gonna make bat wings from corn. I mean, they're gonna make dust, and that's all there is to it. I mean, if we get a south wind, it's gonna come into town.
I think it's a lot of the road gravel dust.
I'm sure, yeah.
I mean, if I lived over on that side of town, I'd move the heck out of there.
And I don't,
You know, you can't ever have your windows open, I mean, it's terrible.
I don't know, but I mean, dust control, when they do that out on roads,
Magnesium chloride or
yeah,
calcium chloride.
we're not looking at thousands and thousands of dollars to spray a couple hundred yards of that on the ground, right?
Especially that small an area.
I mean, that's not a crazy expense, is it?
No.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other public input? If not, we will move on to item number 7, the storm sewers, South Iowa Street. And that is some of what we've already been discussing to a certain extent. You've all seen those pictures of the storm sewer openings into the atmosphere, basically above the street. I spoke with our city attorney the other day, and we talked a little bit about this, and I said, it doesn't make sense to do anything until we know what's under there. And if we can camera all of these sewer lines in the entire city and see just exactly which sewer line might be in a worst case scenario or in worse shape than any other location, we gotta be able to camera a culvert that's 36, 48 inches in diameter. I realize you can't use one of those little handy cam type things. You've got to use something like one of those remote control robot deals. But somebody needs to be enlisted to at least look at it and say, you're not just talking about this area or that area. You're talking about the whole kit and caboodle. Then we've got to deal with it appropriately. We can't just put a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound. So we have to do some kind of visual inspection. One thing that was suggested is possible to crawl up there. It's theoretically possible to do that, but you have to wear a respirator because it's a confined space underground. So, I mean, and I don't know who wants to crawl through that thing.
Doesn't sound safe.
That doesn't to me either, especially not right now when there's tons of semis moving through there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be gone that meeting.
But I guess my point is, you can get these people that have those little remote control devices and they'll just run it up with a camera on it. I don't know how much that costs.
So we need a motion to find somebody that can do this.
I
Does it
think,
have to be a commercial person? Or not? Like when
I
we
think-
had sewer trouble in our front yard, Carlson from Beersford came and he went through our basement with a camera and went down out to the curb. Or is that's not, you're talking something way bigger than that?
well, because this thing is this big around, you're talking about a piece of pipe that's that big around. So this camera was a thin wire. I mean, it's kind of semi-rigid. I've got one. I ran it out to the street too. I've got a 50-foot cable. I can go all the way out there. I can look at it. Got a number of different locations I can go in. So that doesn't okay, you got this hole this big around, that goes like this, and it works. But if you got a thing that's this big around, and you try to push a thing that long, it's gonna just ball up and turn into a bird's nest, and it won't go. That's why I said it should have to be something like a remote control device. Can we get little Johnny or little Janie or anybody that is a hobbyist that has a remote control vehicle with a GoPro on it? It'll do the same thing as long as we can look at it and see, I would think. The only thing is we probably should have somebody that's
Trained eye.
exactly, look at it.
Might be the one fixing it to be able to look at it. So
Well, and I know there gotta be, I mean, she talked about phase two. Phase two, part of it was cameraing the system. Well, there've gotta be people that do that, and the sewer is not this big around where they're gonna be doing this. How do they do that?
Could we ask Dale to do that, to find somebody? What do you think?
The first
Would it be
person I'd
Dale
start with is
or-
Waterman and see if Waterman can do it. Or knows of anyone to do it. And if
But-
Waterman is not an option, then
at this point, we just need a motion to reach out to.
That's
Find
what
somebody.
I'm saying too. I mean, regardless of who does it, the thing we need to do is find out if it's possible, and then, of course, we'll have to come back to the meeting, because who knows, if they say it's $200, sure.
Yeah.
If they say it's $20,000, that's gonna be a little different story.
So from the tracks going south, you want a camera? or-
I would say we start at the creek and we just go. And we see how far we can get. If we can get all the way up to the T where Iowa and Broad and everybody connect up into, whatever streets do connect up into that. If we can get to that point, well, at least we know that stretch is good. And
But I
what's
mean,
above that, who knows?
From the creek going north up to, say, you know, where that other blowout is, I mean, that's not our responsibility, you know, to fix it, is it? So why would we need a camera? I mean,
Well,
my
yeah.
thing is, you know, if someone has put a tile line up to my ground, you know, and they're gonna dump onto me, and I hook onto it, and now I plug that other guy's tile line, now it's restricting his tile line, well, something's gonna give, and it's probably gonna be the splice. So, in my opinion, I mean, if that was a free flow, wouldn't be no restriction, we should have a blowout, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see. So if
So, I
something
mean-
below the big hole up top,
That's restricted, and I mean, that one blowout, you can see the culvert's completely busted in half. You know, so I mean, that's why it's put a restriction to it.
that's a good point. It's a discussion
I
with
mean-
the county then at that point, but Sam, I think you had done some research on that too, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm still looking at it. I'll just tell you, I don't know, what I need to find out. I'm curious, I need to know more about that motion that the county made when they amended in the phrase, including the abutting streets. I'm sure there's a reason that was done. Off the top of my head, I don't know if the county could just amend an annexation petition, like, we annex, you know, 400 yards of ground in, and they say, oh, by the way, you're gonna take this other field here. We didn't want that one, I don't know if you can do that. I'm sure there's a logical reason for it, but, yeah, I've talked to Mr. Boyer about how that culvert came to be there. Teresa told me to talk with him. I also wanted to let you know, since we're discussing this, I was able to talk to LG Everest today, a guy named Scott Vandentop, about the culvert situation closer to the tracks, and he said he's looking into it as well. I told him the concerns we discussed about what time of year it was and what we thought we might need to do, and that we'd be more comfortable maybe having somebody with more engineering background look at it and tell us if it's gonna affect the railroad bed or anything like that. So he's taking a look at some records they have, and he'll be getting back to me hopefully as soon as possible.
So at that point, then I'd say, and I guess I do agree with you too, I never really thought of it that way. We don't know whether we it's not that we don't care, but it's not, might not be our responsibility, say, from the mailbox south.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm assuming that it changes size, I have no idea.
But there's still part that we gotta look at, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think for the sake of tonight, I motion to explore bids on a camera exploration and diagnosis of the storm sewers on South Iowa Street.
I'll second it. So then we know, this isn't saying they're automatically doing it.
It was just to
Find
get
out.
bids to see if, what it cost to have somebody go
Right.
out there with a camera.
And look,
Yeah.
and we'll maybe know more of the legal, but next time maybe.
Well, yeah, and actually having the bid is gonna be important too, because again, if they come back and they say, well, we'll do this much length for $100, but we'll do that much length for $500, you know, at least we'll know.
Right.
So do you only want from here, here, down to here?
Well,
This distance?
that's what I originally said. I originally said from the creek up, all the way to,
You want to
Wherever.
go all the way up to First Street?
I mean, wherever that T is, yeah, I guess First Street would be the place. But that's not what they're suggesting. We could just get the bid and they can just tell us what we'll do for how much. And we can actually ask it in multiple ways. What if you go from here to here? What if you go from here to here? And I guess they could come in that big opening, go south a ways, stop, turn around, go north, and see what it looks like, and then say, well, this is what we know about these areas. So, there's a motion on the floor to explore bids on the camera exploration of the storm sewer on South Iowa Street. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? All right, so, like you said, talking to Waterman might be the first thing. I think it'd be a good idea to have Dale and Lonnie, especially since Lonnie is going to become the Public Works Director and will end up with his, he's gotta have his head around all this, so. At least they're both aware of what's going on and when, so. Let's move on to item number 8, legal update regarding nuisance 307 Iowa.
Okay, Jeff Fillings and I are working through his affidavit to apply for another inspection warrant. Pursuant to statute, we don't have to, but the court, we have to show the court good cause if we have not first asked for a permissive inspection and been refused. I have called Mr. Clausen on the phone a couple times in an attempt to get a hold of him. I have not reached him. We sent him a letter last week telling him that we would like to inspect his property and that if we did not hear from him by this week, we would consider it a denial or let the court know he's either denied or we've been unable to find him. And so I think the 13th was the date that I'd had for him to respond on that. Let him know in the letter where to contact us at. So if we don't hear from him, we'll file the necessary documents in court to have the building inspected. Highly likely that if any work has been done on the interior of the building, it's probably still not up to code. And so then we would ask the court what our options were, and the property either needs to be ordered to get in compliance or demolished or what have you. So hopeful to hear from him.
Yeah, it'd be better to hear from him rather than have to go forward a different route, that's for sure. Are there any other nuisance updates that you can
No, that is the only, I think, Pat, that's the only outstanding nuisance issue we have right now, isn't it?
Correct.
You haven't seen Chief Sculler come by the window.
No, I texted him as well. Haven't heard from him.
And we're going to have to let that one sit for right now, and if he comes in, we'll deal with items 9A, B, and C when we see the chief. One of the things that Darla had suggested or had mentioned regarding public input was a handicap or ADA compliant parking area for the funeral home. It would be on 2nd Street, and it would be basically on the south side of the corner of 2nd Street and Iowa Street. And you can see there's a resolution 2022-07 written up that speaks about this, as well as a picture showing exactly where that handicap position would be. So guess I don't know.
I motion to approve resolution number 2022-07, a resolution of the city of Alcester to authorize accessible parking on 2nd Street near the corner of Iowa Street.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Stating item 10B as written, is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Can I sign that Wednesday?
Yeah, or you can sign that tonight.
Okay.
You can have that be the copy.
That takes care of that. Finance officer updates.
So I was just gonna let you know, I got the bill from Scott Pershing on the cleaning off of 505 Ofsted Street. He only charged $600 for that last tree. So he was very reasonable on the bill to remove the house and 3 trees. And there is a bill that I have for approval. Bielner is the people that we use to fix our irrigation system at the golf course, and we bought a new VFD irrigation valve pump. Dave had gotten a quote on that last fall, and then we got the pump this year. And so that was, the actual pump was $7,776. And so I'm asking permission to pay that bill to Bielner. And that is, oh, and just wanted to let you know too, that monument was done, so that's all I have.
Okay, as you can see, the Bielner service is a motion item.
I know at that golf meeting, they were really concerned about Kyle, weren't they, when we met with them? About the watering and the area down below. That was a big concern of golf members.
And we had a few irrigation heads that weren't functioning like they should, and it was kind of a soppy mess and then not reaching where it should.
Reaching out to some of them.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to pay Melner Service irrigation valve of $8,407.04. It will come out of second penny, $7,776, and some of the repair golf fund at $631.04.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded as written in item 11B for golf course irrigation repair. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? How about the warrants? I don't know if you've been through them all completely. Maybe maybe we'll just postpone that to later on if you get an opportunity. Well, can we do it next time? They have to be approved
Tonight.
tonight,
Yeah.
Okay.
but we can, I mean, we're actually making good time here, which is wonderful. I guess it depends on what happens if the chief arrives, et cetera. Reminders and updates, next city council meeting is October 17th.
That's wrong, 24th. Sorry. 10 and 24, sorry.
Would have been the 17th.
That is
and-
correct.
Yep. I didn't even notice that. That is the only reminder.
Oh, just what clarification? Warrants, is that going to be still done tonight yet or tabled to the next
That's-
meeting?
That's our plan. We'll just take,
Later this
we
week.
have,
Okay.
we have to do a little intermission and give them opportunity to look them over and sign the ones that they haven't gotten already. We'll do so.
Do we have to do anything, what do we have to do to amend the city council meeting saying October 17th for next week?
That, we don't have to do anything. You guys already set the dates by motion last time.
Oh, okay.
That was just a reminder that
And it was just a typo.
Okay.
It could have been addressed when we approved the agenda, but evidently it missed all of our eyes, so. As far as item number 12 goes, HRC update, I can tell you that a lot has happened. The HRC now owns only one of the 4 units in the fourplex. Yes, all 3 of the other ones have been sold, and the 4th one is scheduled to go on the market November 1st. We're supposed to be having a meeting sometime in November. Trying to set a meeting has been kind of difficult, but we're gonna get that done. And we've also had some more interest on the Beck Drive lot. So in theory, we might only be holding 1 lot in the not too distant future. So it's looking very good for future redevelopment. So,
Right, gotta start looking at where we're going to future development.
and some of that's already been, some of the initial groundwork's been done, just trying to set an idea, what could we do, where could we do it, how could we do it? And there have been a number of different theories put forth. I just don't think anything's, I mean, it's not even in sandstone or limestone or anything soft, let alone concrete, so.
we have a committee working on that.
But yeah, good point. I mean, we need to, especially, well, we've already, as an HRC, purchased a lot, and I can't remember the exact address. It's on Broad Street. It's just north of the fence where they had those roll-offs.
Yep.
And we already purchased that, and the
Yep.
governor's house has been paid the deposit and everything like that.
I think it's 303 Broad.
I think that sounds right, yeah. Anyway, the governor house has been, yes, secured with, but now the most recent thing we heard was up to 24 months. So, I don't know. But I've also heard from other HRC members that we're actively looking at another location to put another governor's house. So we're doing our best to try to redevelop the community and get people in here and hopefully get people working at Custom Coils and Alcota and doing things.
I would just like to bring up, I don't know if now's the time or it, but something downtown to, like, the bank took down all those trees and now it just seems like we have a very blank downtown and it seems like businesses are starting to pick up and stuff down there, so just an idea to throw out there, something to spruce up downtown a little bit.
I'm on your page, it's very boring now without the trees.
It does seem that way.
So,
It's very
One of the
stark.
things, one of the things that Lucas brought up was the sidewalk situation, and, you know,
Something that could be done there.
some of that's already been basically set up in the form of a loan for, it's a loan, isn't it? It's not a grant? What was that? ARPA?
Oh, it's not a loan, it's ARPA funds. It was
So-
money that was given to the municipalities based on population.
So some of that's already been put into the works. However, it doesn't cover the entire street and all of the curb, gutter, what have you. So we'll see how that goes, but at least we're working on that too, so. The next item is an executive session for, that's all I got for HRC, by the way. The next item is an executive session for personnel, and that would be,
Mayor, we also need to, add
Yes, I will. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
sub 3, legal counsel pending litigation of contractual matters.
okay, so we're gonna have two separate executive sessions, or one with?
Can be all in
It'll be
one.
sub 1, comma, sub 3.
There you go.
Does everybody get that? In parentheses where it says 1, comma, parentheses 3. We need a motion to move into executive session.
I will make a motion to enter executive session SDCL 1253 personnel. Is that right?
Well, 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, and 3.
And 3, okay. SDCL 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, and 3 personnel.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. To enter into executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-45-2, parent 1 and parent 3. Is there any discussion? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7:03. 7:03. Okay, we are officially out of executive session at 8:01 PM. And I don't know if anyone would like to make a motion regarding what we've discussed.
I will make a motion to hire Blake Walinga as a dishwasher at the community center at $9.95 an hour, effective immediately.
second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to hire Blake Walinga as a dishwasher at $9.95 an hour, effective immediately. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, that takes care of the back page, but we've got one item on the front page, number 9, Police Department, Chief Sculler. Oh, we got 2 items.
Sorry, I did call him and left a voicemail. I haven't received a call back.
Okay. Okay, then we might as well just say item number 9 is off the list until hopefully next meeting. We'll get an opportunity to do those items. I said we only have one item, but
11C.
Warrants.
that's it. I was looking at this one and I thought that's already checked off. Yeah, so under item 11C warrants, we would need a motion to approve those September warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the September warrants.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the September warrants. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That brings us to item number 15.
I'll make a motion to adjourn council.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
8:04 PM. Thank you very much for your expedience, and I appreciate how we kept on task.